So here is my final exam booklet. Here's the word art. The second page, it has my philosophy. And I believe that I am a medium-high teacher, and one of the philosophers that I think is really important is Lee and Marlene Cantor. They give a lot of rights to the teacher. They think that as the teacher, you have the right to determine what is best for your students, and I think that is cool, that we have so much education that we might be able to help our students in ways that other people can't. That we get to know them and we develop a strong relationship with them. So in the classroom, teachers and students each have their own specific role. So I think as a teacher, it's really important to take the responsibility to be prepared and to show up and do your best. Then to be active listeners and set students up for success. And you can do that by knowing the appropriate expectations for your students and being realistic. And students, urge them to show up with an open mind and help define the classroom rules. All of these things will help a student take ownership of their learning experience. On page 3, I have information about democratic classrooms. So while creating this page, I found a really cool quote from Nelson Mandela: "Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world." And I think that is so cool, because if we're having a democratic classroom where it's student-led and students are empowered to change their own direction, that they can change the world. So I picked out a few key things from a democratic classroom. So establishing a student-led morning routine, validating student experiences, being available, and letting your students have student leadership opportunities. And then this is just so important, because it's going to get our kids ready for life. They are going to be in a democratic environment for the rest of their life, and then they'll be able to use this experience to be empowered citizens in their communities. Okay, on the 4th page is the intentions for motivations. So there's a bunch of ways that you can create an environment where your students are more likely to be motivated. So you can't motivate your students, but you can create an environment like that. So one of the first things is make the classroom tasks meaningful. If you're giving your kids busy work and expecting them to get anything out of it and to feel excited about school, it's not going to happen. They're not going to want to do the work if they don't see the value in it. And then so the second part goes along with that, is show the students the value in it. You can explain why we're doing this. You can help them see how this is going to help them in their life. And so I want my students to be intrinsically motivated. I want them to have fun while they're doing their work, but I know that's not always the case. But you can include lots of activities that are fun. There's lots of ways you can make it hands-on and kinesthetic and help your students really enjoy doing it, so they're going to want to do it. Extrinsically, you can help them by showing them why the world wants them to do it. Okay, on the 5th page of my book are the rules and procedure pages. In the middle of the page, I have my 5 classroom rules that I think are super important. So it's be kind, be respectful, try your best, listen carefully and follow directions, and then keep your arms, legs, and objects to yourself. That last one is just for the safety of the classroom. So these 5 rules, these are my the ones that I want to include in the classroom. But when I get into my own class, I want to have the students create the rules with me. So I'll have these going in, but then I can obviously change them, and if the kids want to do something a little bit different. But yeah, these are the foundation rules. I want it to be a rule that they have to try their best, because I've been in classrooms where students aren't trying their best, and it's hard to get them motivated, and you can do all of your motivation theories. Then having a set classroom rule that they should do it, I think helps them. And then so I included my progressive discipline plan, and I think that is just a key way so the kids know what's going to happen if they don't follow the rules. So first, they'll get a first warning, second warning, and then there'll be the child. You can either remove the child from the situation or the object from the child. Then parent call home, meeting with principal. So super easy, super simple, that the kids know what's going to happen. Page 6 of the book is about prevention and procedures. So the first part of it is establishing a positive report. Because if you don't have that, your kids aren't going to want to listen to you. They're not going to want to be in your class, and they're not going to want to follow your procedures. So part of that is being fair, staying positive, and looking for the best in each child. And so if a child does have a positive report in the classroom, they're going to feel safe and they're going to be more inclined to follow directions. A positive report can also motivate my students to behave out of the respect for the teacher. So that is a bit of the extrinsic motivation there. So I listed 3 procedures. I have one for bathroom, dismissal, and lineup, because I think those are crucial because they're part of every single day that you do. And then to establish these, during the first few weeks of class, we would practice them often. We would model them. I'd have them displayed somewhere in the classroom so that the students could visually and be able to read the rules and procedures on how to do these things. For bathroom, I got a lot of that from our classroom discussion. Our group went through it together and created the poster for it, and it was super helpful because we were able to talk through it, and for lots of different point of views, we were able to see things that we would have missed if it was just for ourselves. So I think that's important to talk through these with someone else and to practice with your class and see if there's things we're missing. You can even ask your students, is there something that would make this smoother? Is there something that would make this easier? Can you guys help me with this? And I think that also gives them a lot of ownership over the procedure, and they're going to want to follow it as well. And then so in my procedures, there are verbal and non-verbal cues. So for the bathroom, it's mostly a hand sign thing. So the kids will raise their hand with this signal, and then I'll either give them a nod or a thumbs up to let them know that they are good to start the procedure. And then for lineup, there's a verbal cue. The teacher will dismiss the table, and then they will follow the rest of the procedure. Okay, so page 7 of the book is the interventions. So I went ahead and organized the 9 misbehaviors from mild to severe, and I also grouped them by what intervention I use. So situational interventions up here, mild responses, and then moderate responses. And I tried focusing a lot on nonverbal interventions because I feel like it distracts from the class the least amount, and it also preserves your students' dignity. I think calling out in front of the class is a little bit demeaning, and it can be hard for a student, especially because I know I was so shy growing up that if I got called out, I wouldn't talk the rest of the day. I'd go home and cry, and I'd never want to come back to class. But I do know that you're going to have to adjust for every student. And then so I also included the intervention book with stuff in each tab. And then is becoming such a prevalent problem. It's something that every teacher needs to plan on having an intervention for. So part of my prevention would be to write a specific no bullying policy into your classroom rules and include your students in that decision and have them help you decide how to handle bullying. If they are involved in the process, they're going to be more likely to follow the rules and more inclined to follow them because that they're theirs. They have ownership of them. And so I also think that you need to always model respectful behavior towards all students. I have heard so many horror students of my peers who have said, yeah, my teacher ruined something for me. They were so mean. And I think kids learn a lot from watching. Page 8 of my book is my classroom map. And so I thought it was so important to have a focus on the classroom up on the board. So I think that is where we'll be doing lots of instruction, and then I also put the rug there so that we can all come together and have whole class discussions, and I like that everyone is facing it because that is the main focus in the class. My students are in rows because I feel like that this way that they will all be able to see the board at all times. I feel like when students are grouped into tables, there's often a few students who are going to have to turn or move their chair, and that just makes it harder for them to be instructed. With them in lines, though, I do want them to be able to be in groups at times. So during the first few weeks, we'll practice procedures in which they will turn their desks around to form pods. Super easy, super quick, and with lots of practice, it won't be an issue at all. And then I have lots of stuff in the folder. So I have this, the handouts we've ever gotten. And I also included my my teacher control map. I also included my classroom map description there.